Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial, we are going to be learning ES6 and ES6 features you need to know before learning any JavaScript frameworks. JavaScript frameworks like React.js, Angular, and Vue.js, and so on. Most of them are built on ES6, and if you don't know ES6, and some features that came out in ES6 is going to be challenging for you to know them. A lot of people have told me that they find it difficult to learn React.js, and that is why I came up with this tutorial to teach ES6, because I know it is ES6 that makes it more challenging for people to understand frameworks like React.js, Angular, and Vue.js, and so on and so on. There are so many cool JavaScript frameworks out there. So I'm going to be talking about the list of things that is there. I'm going to be explaining more on them and with examples. So I also taught more about this class and class inheritance. I explain more about it and show some useful examples, because most of the JavaScript frameworks, most of them use classes, and if you don't understand ES6 classes, it's going to be a little bit challenging for you. Okay, so before we move on, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. Okay, so let's move on. So we're going to be starting with let and const, because most of the JavaScript frameworks uses ECMAScript 6, and let and const are one of the. Let me just quickly create a JavaScript file. I will call it just index.js. Don't worry, the link to the lesson files of this tutorial is going to be available in the description of this video, and the GitHub repository is going to contain the branch for each of the outlines that I'm going to be talking about, for each of the topics that I'm going to be talking about. So I'm going to be talking about let and const first. Let and const first. So let and const was introduced in ECMAScript 6, and because var was used to declare variable before, var name equal to whatever. Var was used to declare variables before, but in ECMAScript 6, let and const was introduced. So I will just say that let and const was introduced to replace var, because I will not advise anyone to still use var in the modern JavaScript. So ECMAScript 6 can also be called modern JavaScript, because a lot of stuff was introduced in ECMAScript 6, in which we are going to be talking about in this tutorial, which is like import, export, and also classes. So let's go on. So let is okay. Let's for example, let's sorry. Okay, let's just use this as the example. Let was introduced just like, and it works very closer to var, because it allows assignment. you can reassign a let friends equal to you can reassign let to another thing, because var also works the same way. You can reassign var also, but the difference between let and var is that let is a block scope. Like for example, now if I try to access friends, in this block, let's see what is going to let's just create an HTML file on index.html. Just create the HTML file. Just create an h1 called h1, then let const. Okay, let's view it in the browser. I'm just going to use the inbuilt live browser. Then what we are majorly interested in is the console. Okay, so let's not forget, let's call the JavaScript here scripts src. Okay, so in the console it has been reloaded, so we now see Drake. Now let's try to reassign friends here. Friends equal to 34. Now let's access friends again. Log friends. Now let's see what gets logged to the console. Okay, 34 got logged to the console. Okay, but let's redefine friend by saying, let's just redefine it at the top here. Friends equal to 90, and I'm just going to comment this out. Okay, let's leave it that way. Friends equal to 90. Now let's see what got printed to the browser. Now this is the first one that ran. This is the first one that ran here. And this is this friend here is the Drake, and this console.log that ran here is the one for this block scope. Now let's try to reassign friends the same way we did here, outside the scope, just down below it. Friends equal to music. Now as you can see, there's already an underline under the let. Now let's go to the browser and see what happens. It says redeclaration of let friends. That's actually the error here, the syntax error here. Previously declared on line 5. So let doesn't allow redeclaration, but you can redeclare it in another scope. Of course, this is another world. This is a world, and this is another world inside this big world. That's just how it is. So you cannot redefine the same variable in the same world, but you can redefine this variable in another world. So that's just how it is. So which makes it better than var, because it will not allow you to make the mistake of redefining the same variable twice, which you can do with var. Let's try to do it with var here. Var name equal to let's just set it to 78. As you can see, there's no error here. no error here. So that is how it is better than var. So let's just comment this two out. So that is let. So if you want to read more about let, you can go to the JavaScript MDN documentation for let. Read more on let here. So you can read more on let there. So now let's talk about const. Let me just read this out, comment this out. So let's talk about const. Const tool is you will use it a lot in JavaScript, in modern JavaScript frameworks, because of course it's one of the core things that came with ES6. Now let's see how const works. Now if I declare const name equal to my name log name, why is it giving it? Okay, name is deprecated. Okay, let's just say const what is name. Okay, let's log it. Now it's going to get logged. Of course it has been logged. So let's see how what is going to do if I try to assign it in this scope. Let me try to assign it to 78 and log it. Log what is name. So this is the second, let's say block. Let's just give this block b, so that it's going to indicate it. Now see the error, invalid assignment to const what is name. Now let's go back. Now it means const does not allow declaration even inside another scope. So once const has been declared outside any scope, it cannot be declared inside another scope. But if I declare, okay, let's see if we declare const here and we declare it here, what's going to happen? Actually nothing actually is going to happen, because this is seen as like it's going to be assigned as window, is going to be assigned as a window variable. Let's check it out. It might not work like that, but let's see. Window dot what is name. You see, we still got it. So defining this here without assigning, without declaring it with any variable declaration name like const length and var, without using those, it's just going to assign it to the window variable. Then you can now get it with the window variable. So that is what is actually happening. Not that we are not setting this, because this cannot be accessed outside the scope. This const cannot be accessed outside the scope. But if it is in global scope, it can be accessed inside another scope. So that is const. And we cannot also come down here. And we declare const also what is name equal to 90. As you can see, it has already underlined it. So it doesn't allow with declaration. So it is good for declaring classes. It is good for declaring functions. because of course you don't want to redeclare the function name that you declared already. You don't want to mistakenly redeclare it again. So that is one of the things it is useful for. You can use it to declare things like array, object, function, functions. So, and whatever you don't want to change later, you don't want to override or mistakenly redeclare later, or you don't want to override later in the code base. So that is that is the usefulness of const. Another thing you have to know is object and array destructuring, especially in React.js. Object and array destructuring is widely used in React.js, and it is used in, so let me just quickly write object and array destructuring. In React.js, it is used like in the case of like trying to create a state a state with use states, like something like name set name equal to react dot use state. So it is used in a way like this in React.js, and it is used in similar way. It is used in other ways in other JavaScript frameworks. Okay, so let's get to it. How does it works? It also comes with ES6. So let's say names equal to John Doe Jane. Okay, so let's just do it that way. So if we should log it, we are going to get John, we are going to get this array back. But now let's try to destructure it. To destructure this array, we are going to use const, let's say name1 comma name2 comma name3 equal to name. Okay, let me give it another name. Let's say fake name. Okay, fake name. So now let's see what these values are. Let's just log them and see what those values are. Okay, so I'm just going to create a HTML file quickly, index.html, just for us to preview it. And okay, so let's just go live and open this in the browser. So we need the console now. Okay, I think it was created in the roots folder. No, I want to create it inside this space. Now let's link the JavaScript file to it. h1 destructuring. So let's link the JavaScript to it. Script. Yeah. Okay, so let's view it in the browser or something like that. Okay, let's dispose it and go live again. Okay, so as you can see, it has displayed as John Doe Jane as it is in this array. So array destructuring is just like assigning the values the of the index in the array to these variables, so that you can use them later in the code. So that's what array destructuring is. So if you want to like read more about array destructuring, I'm going to provide a link later later to MDN documentation where you can learn more about it. Now let's go to object destructuring. Object destructuring. Okay, so now let's check how does object destructuring works. Now let's do this like fake data equal to user John age 0 height unknown. Now let's just comment that out. Now how do we destructure it? Now to destructure it, we are going to use the object destructuring. You see how this is different from this at the top here. This is array destructuring and this is object destructuring. Now let's see how it works. User comma age and comma height equal to fake data. Okay, we are not getting error. Okay, now let's log it. Log. Let's just copy it and just paste it inside this place. User age height. Now let's see. You see John 0 unknown. Just this data that is inside the object, so it was assigned to these variables we declared here. So it is a very useful feature in ECMAScript 6 that came with ECMAScript 6. It is object destructuring. So you can use it to destructure objects quickly, and it is commonly used in JavaScript frameworks and library like React.js. You will use it more in React.js. So that is it. So if you want to read more about array and object destructuring, you can go to MDN website. So this is the link to the documentation on MDN website. Okay, so another thing that is very useful and that you are going to need mostly to be able to understand JavaScript frameworks and also modern JavaScript is the imports and exports that came with ECMAScript 6. So let's see how it works. So I've created two JavaScript files for this particular lesson. So this one is the export, to demonstrate the export, and this file is to demonstrate the import. So now let's start with export. JavaScript export. Now let's start with export. Now to export data in JavaScript, you can export anything in JavaScript. You can export a variable. You can export a variable that declares anything, that declares any data type. You can export any data type. You can export the class. You can export anything. You can export any data type in JavaScript. Let me say it that way. So now there are two types of exports: default exports, and default exports and normal. Let me just call it normal exports and normal exports. Okay, so now how does default export works? So let's declare a function which is const. Okay, let's say const, yes, let's do it that way. Const greet equal to function okay, let's just say function, then console.log hello world. Now to export this particular function from this file as default, we can export it with export default greet. Now default export allows one of the differences between default export and normal export is that default export allows us to be able to use any name to import the exported whatever we export from this file. It allows us to import it with any name inside any other file, and also there can only be one default export from a particular file. Meanwhile, there can be any number of normal exports from a particular file. So, and we can also write it this way. Let me just comment it out and copy this and go down here. Then we can also declare it this way: export default function this. You can export it this way, or we can export it with the variable. So this is like the variable. This declaring of the function also applies to other things like class or any other data type, array, object, number, or any other data type. So that is how default functions work. Now, before we move to normal export, let's see how import works, how we can import it. Now let's import it inside this x import.js. The reason why I put x in front of the both of them is that while we might not know, JavaScript runtime might be using the export name, the export file name, as something. Maybe it might use it later in the future or whatever, or it might be using it, we don't know, so that it's not going to conflict with anything. That's why I added x in front of it. So let's forget about that. Now to import, we can also import. There are two types of imports. There are default imports and also normal imports. So to import default, because we spoke about default export here. Now let's talk about default import here. Now to import default, we are going to say import Of course this does not have a name, so we can now assign it to any name. We can use any name we like. Let's say um hello world from exports.js, because this is not we are not using Babel, we are not using things like Babel or Webpack. So we will have to we will have to specify the extension of the JavaScript file that we are importing from. So now let's try to log it. So hello world. So because it is a function that we are importing, so we just have to call it here. Now let's now um let's import that import js in this, in our HTML file. Import export script x import. Okay, so that is it. Now we are going to get an error, of course, but I'm going to talk about it later after we've seen the error. Now let's just go live again. Okay, so let me close this and open the console again. So let's see it says import declaration may only appear at the top of at the top level of a module. Why? It's because this the browser sees this file as a type of type text or JavaScript. So it's reading it as a text or JavaScript. Meanwhile, in ECMAScript 6, anything that has imports in it is a module, and anything that exports, any file that exports is a module, and any file that imports is also a module. So to tell the browser that, hey, this file is a module and we want to use import inside it, we are going to say type equal to module. Now let's go back to the browser. We are going to see the hello world. Now you see export.js hello world, import.js line 5. Let's go back to it and see what is really happening. Okay, line 5. Okay, yeah. This is trying to print, the console.log is trying to print what hello world is returning. Meanwhile, hello world is not returning anything. That is why it is printing undefined. So we've already printed the hello world inside here, so we just need to call it independently, like hello world. See, now hello world. Now let's talk now. That is how to work with default import and default export, and that's how to add your module file to the HTML. Now let's talk about normal export. Now let's try to export an array. Const names equal to John Doe Jane Doe. Okay, so now let's export. We can export it anyhow, either by export names. Let's create another one. Let's say fake data equal to name John. John H0. Now we can export it this way. So just exporting this way, or we can export each of them like this. Export const. We can do it that way, or we can do it, let me duplicate it, or we can do it this way. But in this tutorial I'm going to be doing it this way. I'm going to be showing the other method of exporting data. So now let's see how we can import it. Now to import normal exports, now we are going to do it this way, like open a curly brace and closing curly brace. Then we can now import anything you want to anything you exported from here. Names and fake data. Names, of course, I can see that it gave us autocomplete, and also comma fake data. So that is it. So we can now log it here. Names, then also fake data. Okay, so as you can see, they all got printed automatically. So let's see now. That is how to export data, and to export and to import normal exports. So now another thing I would like to point out is that, as you can see, this is a one line. This is what I'm trying to depict here is that you can import the exports, the default export and the normal exports on the same line. You can import the default export and the normal export on the same line, or you can decide to split them. You can decide to split them by just importing them each. And another thing I would like to point out is that whatever name you use to export here is what you are going to use to call it wherever you are importing it. So for example, now you can use another name to export it, but you just have to make sure you set the value to whatever is there. Now we can do another thing, which is going to be like object destructuring. We can do it this way. Names, then fake data. We can do it this way also. Okay, so but we just have to change this. Okay, so okay, we have to define it. Say const this equal to this. So also this is also like destructuring this. So what this is doing is that it is going to create an object key with the value. It's going to create an object key of names and set it to the value of the variable called names. It's going to search the script for the variable called names. This also is going to set the key to fake data, and also search the script for a variable named fake data. If there is no variable named fake data, it's going to throw an error. So that is it. That is how this is working. Okay, so that is it. And meanwhile, our import is not going to work again. Now let's check it if it's going to work. See, so now to import them, let's just set it to the exact name we used to export them. Names is not defined. Okay, yeah, they are not defined. Yeah, so let's check it again. As you can see, oh, what? Okay, yeah. It is not defined. It is not defined. Yes, it is not defined. It is not defined. It is not defined because these names, has to match exactly this the names here, and also this fake data also has to match the fake data key here. So this is just a mistake. Okay, so what I'm just trying to say that you can do the imports using destructuring. Also you can export the structured data, the structured value also. So that is how they work. Now let's just return this back to their normal value. So that is import and export. And if you would like to read more about imports and exports, so you can go to the MDN documentation for imports and exports. This is for imports and this is for exports. So that is it. Okay guys, so another thing that you're going to be needing, um that you need to know, and that is used well in javascript frameworks, is the arrow function, because the arrow function also came with ES6. Now let's just say arrow function. Okay, so how do we declare normal function? Normal functions has been declared since ages using doing it this way. Let's say great, and you can now pass params and whatever you want to pass to it. I just say console.log hello world. But the arrow function that came with that was introduced in ES6 is being is it is declared like this. This is how the arrow function is declared. As you can see, even there is no error occurred. No error. The text editor didn't underline it. Now, to create an anonymous function, let's just set it to a variable called greet. Then we can now say log greet. Oh, hello world. So this is going to log hello world in the browser. This is going to log hello world in the browser. So that is how to declare arrow function, and it is used for example in React.js to create a function. You can just use arrow function like const const home equal to, let's just say, react dot memo, then pass an anonymous function to it this way. So this callback function that I passed to the react.memo hook is an anonymous function, and it's an arrow function. It's an arrow function that was introduced in ES6. So you see it that it is used well in modern JavaScript and in modern JavaScript library and frameworks. So I think, yeah, that is all for arrow function. And you can use arrow function as callback also. Maybe like for example, you use document dot add like a callback function to something like this. So you can use it as also a callback function also. So now another thing I would like to, oh, I made a mistake here, spelling. Oh, so since this is not a React.js tutorial, I'm just going to remove this. So another thing I would like to point out is passing of default parameters to arrow function. Let's say const greet equal to name that I want to greet, the name of the person that I want to greet. Let's say console.log hello plus name. So that is passing a param. This is how you pass a param to it. Of course, most people have, I expect you to already know this. Now the default value, you can assign a default value to it, like let's say colors. Now it's now going to greet. If you call it, it's going to print out hello colors by default. But you can, if you pass in any name, like let's say John Doe, then it's going to print out, so it's going to print out hello John Doe. So that is how to pass or param to it. Now what about rest operator, which is also like this rest operator? That's rest operator. Now I'm just going to okay, let's say const greets people. Now that's going to be name. Then also this is how okay, let's just say user data. Then we expect name, then other things like, then other things that we are not sure of, that the user can provide others. So then we can now say log name and others. So this others is going to contain an array of other data that was passed to the user data. So if we say user data, so user data in this context, user data requires only name to be passed. If no other thing is passed, this is going to be an empty array. Like for example, let's pass in John, and let us not pass in anything. Okay, I would just like to preview this in the browser. Index.html, then let's load the scripts to it. Index.js. Okay, let me dispose this and also run it again. Okay, so now okay, so let's comment out other console.log so that it's not going to confuse us. Let's comment out this. Now let's see how this is going to work. Now I've called this user data. Now let's go to the browser and check. So this is what was logged, John, then followed by array of empty array. Is an empty array. Now what if we now pass data? Now let's pass data. Let's say John, then another name. Another thing is going to be do. As you can see, do is inside the others variable. We can pass any number of values to it. Let's say John Doe is 45 and his height is 60 and he has like 100 children. So let's see it in the browser. As you can see, everything got pushed inside the array. So that is so in this particular lesson, I've showed the arrow function, passing of default value to the arrow function, and also the rest operator. So if you want to read more on the arrow function on MDN websites, you can go to the website arrow function. If you want to read more about REST operator, then you can go to REST parameter. Okay, sorry. REST parameter. So okay, so another thing I would like to talk about in this tutorial is the template literals, and I've seen it used in JavaScript frameworks, and it is a very useful. Even in vanilla JavaScript, it is very, very useful. And I will also be doing some examples. It's not going to be much. The examples are not going to be much, so that we are not going to waste time. So the template literals, you can just create a h1 just to indicate templates literals, then a div for id, like id tests. Okay, so now let's say templates literal. Okay, so now how does template literal work? Now normally, if you set const tests div, let's just get this the id of this particular element. I expect you to already know how to do something like get an element by id from the JavaScript DOM. If you don't know how to if you don't know about it, you can watch my tutorial on JavaScript DOM. Let me write it, JavaScript DOM. You can read my tutorial on it. So let's just move on. So we are going to say document dot query selector. So we are selecting it with CSS selector, query selector, test. Now test div. Now to set data to test div, let's say we have so many data. Let's say we have name equal to John, const last name equal to do, then const age equal to 54. Now to to use these values, to use this data, to set a data to the user on the front end, inside this div we have to do something like this. Normally we have to do something like this: dot inner html equal to name. Let's we are trying to write something like John Doe is 54 years old, so we are going to say name plus, okay, let me name it first name plus last name plus John Doe is age, oh no, let me name it like this, is age years old. Okay, so of course this is going to work. Let's link the JavaScript to it. Script. So of course it is going to work, but this is very stressful. Let's just check it. Let's check it out in the browser. Let's check it out in the browser. Let's check it out in the browser. Okay, so this is going to be okay. Yeah. We don't need the console. We don't need the console. So it says John Doe is 54 years old, but the template literals make it easy to do something like this, or to work with something like this, and it is, you are going to be using it very well in JavaScript frameworks and in modern JavaScript when you are writing modern JavaScript. So to do something like this easily, inner html, we are going to use template literal. We are going to first of all use a backtick, then $, opening and closing curly brace. Then we can now write any JavaScript we like inside this. So this allows us to write JavaScript inside this string, this backtick, which can also be used to write a string. So to write a string in JavaScript, you can either use backtick or single quotes or double quotes. So now we are using backtick for the string. Now to write something like this easily, you just say first name John Doe, which writing a space in front of it is going to put a space automatically. Then we can now say again last name, then is $, age, years old. As you can see, this is less stressful compared to this, because this we have to be writing plus another quote plus last name plus. This is less stressful and less long, and this is not as long as this, so it is also saving us some space. It's saving us some space, the character from here to here. So now let's check the browser and we are going to see the same thing. So that is the template literal and how template literal is used. So if you want to read more about template literal, you can go to the MDN link that I'm going to share now. You can go to this MDN link to read more about it. Template literal is very useful in JavaScript and in modern JavaScript and also in JavaScript frameworks. In React, you are going to meet something like this, which is going to be, let's say, home, then let's say name of, okay, let's just say first name is now going to be something like this. Let's say John. So this is also working as a template interval, because you can write any data type inside within this opening and closing curly brace in React. You can write something like age is greater than 18, then John, else is do, yes. So you can do something like this inside it in React.js, but this is not React.js, that's why it's giving us error. So that is templates literal. Okay, another important thing I'm going to be talking about is the spread operator, which you are going to need in modern JavaScript frameworks. You will be is one of the things you will be using mostly when you are writing modern JavaScript applications and working with JavaScript frameworks and libraries. And I use React a lot. And I can assure you that I use this spread operator almost every time. So now let's go into it. Spread operator. Now spread normally and before to spread operator is just majorly used to to join two objects or arrays together, to concat an array to another array, or to concat an array, or to concat an object to another object. So that is what spread operator is. And traditionally, to do that, we can say const names equal to John, Doe, Jane. Then another array is going to be another names, which is going to be which is going to be French, English, German. Okay, so that is it. Now to join this array to this array, normally it's supposed to it's going to be this way. It's going to be this way. It's going to be names plus this. Okay, why is it giving us cannot we declare? Oh, sorry. I wanted to declare something. Okay, added arrays equal to this. So now let's log it. Now I will be using the browser to show you the example. Okay, now let's create an HTML file. Quickly, and link the JavaScript to it. So let's dispose this and open it again. Now, okay, let me just do this. Okay, now you see John Doe Jane, French, English, German. So what the addition does is that it added it concatenated the both of them to a string. Now let's check the type of this of the of this variable. Let's check the type with type of. You're going to see that it is a string. Yes, it is a string. Now to do it easily with spread operator, we are just going to do it this way. This is going to spread the content of this of names is going to spread it inside this new array. Then let's spread this too. The content of another names, we spread it into this also. So now let's first of all check type of added arrays. See, of course it's going to show object, because that is what JavaScript recognize arrays as. But to check if it is an array, we are going to use array.isArray, which is going to return true. So that is that. And let's just duplicate this. Now that is how to use the spread operator. Now let's see the content that was spread. As you can see, everything got spread and everything is well arranged. Okay, now there's now another usefulness for it, and that is in the object spreading. Now also this, you can also use it to add a new value to this array while preserving the values in this array. You can use it to add, let's say, people. Let's just check the browser. See, people has been added to it. Okay, now let's see object operator. Oh, okay, object spreading. Okay, now let's see if we have, for example, if we have fake data, that is called name, which is going to be John, then age, which is going to be 89. Okay, so now another data, which is going to be another fake data, is going to be height 45 and let's just say, where does it work? Works at Google. Okay, so now to add this object to this object, we are going to say const added object. Let's just comment this out. It's going to be, let's spread this fake data. Let's spread it here. Then spread this too. So there are ways to add the values in this value in this object to this object. There are other ways to add this object to this object, like to merge the contents together. There are other ways to do it. But this, I'm explaining this because of this is spread operator, and spread operator can also do the same thing. So let's check the value of added objects. Yeah, let's check it. The value is added object. You see, name John, height, works at Google. You see, that is it. Now another cool thing is that if I want to update a value in this fake data, I want to update a value in this fake data, I don't have to like set each of those value to themselves. Like for example, I want to change this age to another value. Okay, if I want to add a data to this age, or okay, wait, if I want to change this age, I can change it this way. It's going to be fake data. Normally it's supposed to be fake data age equal to 34. Of course it's going to be changed. Yeah, it's going to be changed. So also added object, I'm using added object because it contains the value of the both of them. Now also we can also use spread operator. The spread operator is going to conserve the data of Now let's check it. I'm going to let's set it to another added object, which is going to be added objects. Then I'm changing the age equal to 45. Now let's see what the value is going to be. So this is added object. Now let me duplicate this and set this to another added object. So as you can see, this is 45. The height is 45, age is 89 here, and age is 45 here, and the value still remains the same. You will surely meet this when you are working with React. It gives a lot of issues if you don't know how to use spread operators like this, because there are some instances in React. For example, when you are setting the states in React, like for example, you are using a class component, and you want to use set states. I want to set states, like for example, set states. Sorry, I don't use. Oops, sorry. For example, in React, this dot set states. I'm just doing an example. Previous states. Then I'm expected to return an object also, because previous state, the state is an object in React. So I'm expected to return the previous state as an object too, and I'm expected to return it including the data including other data that are in the previous state also. So if I would do that, and it is impossible to set something like this in React.js, it is impossible to do something like this. Maybe I'm trying to change the age. It is impossible to do something like this .78 because it is immutable. immutable. Sorry, it is immutable in React.js. So to do something like that, you are going to need to do it this way. So you have to do something like if state, then age, then that is going to be, you can now set it to whatever you want to set it. Then this is going to only update this age and also return other states, other values in the state as they were. So this is one of the usefulness of this spread operator that I just explained here. So it has a lot of usefulness. And you can also read more about it on MDN. You can read more about it here on MDN spread syntax. So that is about spread. Okay, another thing I would like to talk about next is the sets. You might fall into a situation where you have to remove some duplicate data and you want to do it without stress. That is where sets comes in. So you are going to need it in modern JavaScript when you are writing modern JavaScript, and also in JavaScript frameworks. Also, you are going to need it in JavaScript frameworks. So sets, like now, for example, if we have names array, like let's say it has name like John, it has Jane, so then it has 2, then it has John, and you are trying to remove duplicates. From it, then that's where you are going to use set remove duplicates equal to new. Now to use set is an object that you are going to declare with new set, then just pass in whatever you want to pass in. Then login of this removed. Okay, let me do it this way. Removed duplicates. It's going to then you can now log it. If you log it, it's going to be this. It's going to be this without the last John. Then we can now use there's other stuff in sets that you can use. Let me just quickly create an HTML file. Okay. So which is going to be scripts. There's the JS. Okay. So that is it. Now let's go live. I just need the console. Now as you can see, set it is without the last data. The last data didn't display. Now to check other stuff you can get from sets, let's check the prototype. Now the prototype has add for adding data to the sets, clear for clearing the data in the sets, delete for deleting a particular data in the set, entries for looping through the data for each. For this is for looping through the entries, for each is for looping through the the values. As is for checking if the set has a particular value. Keys is for getting all the keys in the set. Values is for getting all the values in the set, and that is it. Now let's just use add. Let's use add as and size. So I'm going to be printing, let me print remove duplicate, which is a set dot size. Then let's use the add. Remove duplicate dot add. What should we add? Let's add the age of John Doe, which is 89. Okay, so now let's log it again. Let's just copy this and paste it here. So it's going to contain 89. Now let's check the browser. Of course, 89. So the length here is 3 before we added the extra value. So now what else did I say we are going to be checking? Let's check let's check the as also, the as. Let's check. We're just going to console.log it dot as John. Let's see if it has the value of John. Yes, you see, as you can see, it says 2. So the set is very useful in so many cases. Like you just want to remove duplicates. Just want to remove duplicate from the data and get a pure data without duplicates. And you want to, there's a lot of usefulness to it. You want to add data, you want to remove data, and so on. So this is what you can do with sets. And if you like to read more about sets, you can go to the MDN documentation that I'm going to share now. You can go to the MDN documentation that I'm going to share now. Okay, so let me quickly share it. The MDN documentation. This is the MDN documentation of sets. So all the links that I'm sharing in this file is also going to be available in the description of this tutorial on my YouTube channel. Okay, one of the most important stuff that came with ECMAScript 6 is the class, is JavaScript class. So, and it is used in modern JavaScript frameworks and libraries, especially in React.js, which has class components. It has class components, and I use class a lot. I use class a lot to like, if I want to add a functionality that is going to be like a plugin into the application, I'm going to use class. I use class a lot in my React.js application and also in other applications too. So to declare a class in JavaScript, just use a class, then the name of the class. So the class should be declared with a uppercase camel case, my greeting class. Okay, let's just say greeter, the greeter class, then an opening and closing brace. So that is all. Now another thing is constructor. What this constructor does is, like, just like any other language, this is what is going to be run. This is the method that we run first. I run first. So this is the method that we run first immediately this class has been initialized. Now how can we initialize a class? Const greet init, which is the short form of initialize. Okay, so it's going to be to initialize it, we use new greater. So that is how to initialize it. Then now let's just create a new HTML file, index.html. I'm going to try my best not to take so much time on classes, but I will also explain it in detail. This is JS. Okay, so now let's dispose this and open a new one. Okay, it's just the console I need. You see, it says I ran first, so that is meanwhile we did not even call this method. That is the default method that runs first in the class. So unlike C++, that has a destructor, JavaScript doesn't have something like that. If it has, and I don't know about it, please you can put it in the comment section. Okay, so and now how do we, there's another good thing about class is that you can create a method. Class, the usefulness of class is just like for organization of the code, because inside this greater now you can organize so many methods of the class, like the methods that, okay, this method prints message to the console. Then it's now going to get the a parameter of what to print. So this is how to declare a method, a class method. Then console.log text. Then another thing is going to be like okay, get text to print, then text, then you can now say this dot print message, then passing the text. So it means I am calling the method in this class inside this method. I'm calling it inside this class. So, and okay, let's just check that out. Now, to access this method, by default this method are public methods. These methods are public methods. Now to access them, just call greet init dot print. As you can see, even the text editor gave us an int dot print message, which is going to be print hello world. Now let's check the console. Print hello world. Meanwhile, this print, oh sorry, get text. I wanted to call get text. So let's check the console again. You see, it printed the same. Meanwhile, this get text is not printing anything. It's just calling this other method and passing the arguments to it for it to print the what was passed to it. So that is the class stuff. So you are going to be using classes, especially in React. React also has another thing which is not used in normal class, in normal JavaScript class, which is going to be something like if there is a method that sets the state, or that does, yeah, if there's a method that sets the state, like for example, this if this method sets a state, then it's going to be written like this dot this equal to this dot this dot. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember. It's been a while I used JavaScript class, React.js class components. This dot, okay, if I this dot print message dot, I've forgotten it, and this is not a React.js tutorial. Let's just forget about it. Okay, so now the next most important thing is how to class properties. Now, what are class properties? Class properties are just the global, we can call them global variables. Let's say now name. This name is global to every method, or let me just text it to text. It's global to every method, and every method can set or either get it. So we can say, okay, now instead of passing this, okay, let me just duplicate it just for later reference. So instead of passing this directly, you can just set it. This get text is just going to be this, okay, text, okay, no, get text is just going to be this dot print message, then without passing anything to it. Then instead of that, is now going to be this dot text. That is, I'm accessing this value. So now to do it, now let's check if this still works. You see, it returns undefined. Now let me just comment this out and do this. Now let's now check, how do we now set this value? To set it, we are going to say the initialized value of the class. The class initialization, we are going to use it to set the text equal to this text string here. Then after setting it here, then we can now run this get text, which then calls this print message, which then prints the text. Now let's check it. As you can see, it returns print hello world. Now that is another thing. Now let's look at setter and getter. Let's look at setter and getter in JavaScript class. Set message, which is going to take in the message to set. So we can now say msg, then msg, then this dot msg equal to msg. Then another thing is now going to be get message. Then we are not going to pass anything to it. Then this is now going to either return this dot msg or print it. But now we are going to, in the normal sense, it's supposed to return the message. Now let's now check how it really works. So this also works the same way, something like document dot let's say document dot location dot href, something like this, because this it is like a setter and getter. If you set the value to it, it's going to reload the page and go to that value, and you can also get the value of the URL by just calling it this way and using it as a value. So that's also a setter getter. It is also working like a setter getter function. So let's just check it. Then you say greeting dot message. Then let's pass in the message greets the world for me. Okay, so now we've passed the message. Now we can now run console.log, which is going to be greets init dot message. Now let's now see what is going to get printed out. Okay, let me add something here so that it's going to message, so that we'll be able to distinguish it in the command line in the console. Okay, git init.message is not a function. Okay, git init.message is not a function. What are we doing wrong? Now let's check another method. As you can see, it has worked. So as I indicated before, that it works the same way like document.location.href. This document.location.href, you can set the value, and you can also get the value. If you use it like this without setting it to anything, it's going to return the value of the href. But if you set it to a value, it's going to use that value and use it to reload the page. So that is the same way it works. So this, if we are passing in this MSG like this, it doesn't mean we have to call it like the way we are calling other function like get text and passing data to them like this. It doesn't work like that, and that is one of the goodness of JavaScript class. Yeah, that is setter and getter. They are called setter, and they are called, and this is called getter. Okay, so that is the setter and getter. So again, one thing I would like to say again is that this, if we were using TypeScript, we will be able to specify something like whether it is public or whether it is private or whether it is protected but since JavaScript doesn't have something like that, it was not included because JavaScript does not support typing. So it is a loosely typed language. It does not support typing. So that's why there's nothing like that. But you can specify it with this comment. You can say at param then specify the type. If I get it well, private, or at private param. No, it's called at private. The private comes first, at private param text. Now let's see if we are going to be able to get the text outside of the greeter. I think it's going to work in the browser, because I am not sure if the browser is going to regard this. Now let's check it in the browser. It still works, but the text editor is not going to suggest it to us. Now let's try it. Greet init dot. As you can see, the text that we set as private here is not it was not returned as part of the suggestion here. Now let's check it again. Let's try to remove this and try it again. Dot. As you can see, it was included here after we removed it. So that is one of the ways you can specify something like that. Let me just return it. Just at public at param then text. So that is how to do that. I think there is a lot more about class, or I'm not sure if I've covered everything about class. At least I've covered. Okay, there's one more thing we need I need to talk about, is passing of default parameter. Let's say param, then I'm going to log this param. Now let's see what's going to happen in the browser. Undefined. JavaScript didn't throw any error. Meanwhile, in other language, it's going to throw some terrible error. Okay, param. Let's just type yeah. Meanwhile, you can pass anything to it. You see, it was run. It ran. So you can pass either on an object to it. Let's say maybe id. Maybe it is useful for building a JavaScript plugin. Maybe if you are building a library, you can use it to build a library. Maybe id, elements id, elements id. You can use something like dot id. Let's check it. You see, then and also you can do something like, you can just destructure it. You can also destructure it here. This is element id. You can destructure it here too. You can, okay, let me just duplicate it just for reference. You can destructure it also using JavaScript destructuring and passing the element id here. Let's see what happens. Of course, the value of the element id was returned there. So and that is it. And to make this a suggestion, to help the text editor make it a suggestion, you can do it this way. And as you can see, it suggested it to me at param, then passing the type of this particular the particular parameter that you want the user to pass. Let's say it's going to be a string, then the name of the param. This is the name of the param, element id. So let's check if the text editor is going to give us the suggestion. It didn't give us the suggestion. Why? Okay, let's check it again. Now let's now try another way. then let us follow the method that was suggested to us. Now element id, then passing in the type string. Now let's check the it still works well. Now let's check if it's going to now suggest it to us. As you can see, it was suggested to us by the text editor. Now we can set it to anything we like. As you can see, it was suggested to us by the text editor. So that is how you can also add suggestion to a class. This is actually not required, but it's part of the things that is useful. It is useful if you are building a JavaScript library. If you are building a JavaScript library or a JavaScript plugin. So that is where it is useful. And you can also you can use TypeScript. You can use things like TypeScript, like you can also make it an optional. You can do something like this question mark, and if we over it, we are going to see the question mark, and we will see that the text editor has appended undefined to it, making it indicating that this is not required. So that is the usefulness of that. And one more thing I need to say before leaving this class before stopping talking about the class. Sorry about that English. Okay, I need to talk about class inheritance. So I'm not going to be wasting time on this. I'm just going to show how the inheritance works, because for example, in React.js, you are going to face it. You are going to work with inheritance if you are using React components. If you are using React class components, you will surely face inheritance, and if you don't know what it is, it's going to confuse you a bit. Now let's go. Class inheritance. Let's say say hello. Now say hello. Now to inherit from this class, the reader class, we are going to use the extent keyword and just pass in the name of what's the class that we are extending, reader. Now JavaScript, it is, I think, yeah, it is only JavaScript I know. I've not experienced, or I've not seen, or I've not used other programming languages that can only extend only one class. Other programming languages can extend more than one class, but JavaScript can only extend only one class. It is not possible to extend more than one class. Maybe maybe it will be added in the future, I don't know, but you cannot extend more than one class in JavaScript. So that's that. Now one thing you need to do after extending from a class is that if the class requires you to pass a param in the constructor, you must also pass it here. Now let's see what happens if we don't pass it to it. Const say hello in it equal to say hello. Okay, so let's just say greet. Now log hello world. Now let's call the greet now. Say hello init dot greet now. see, oh, sorry, I forgot the new keyword dot greet now. Now let's see what happens in the browser. As you can see, this is the error that was returned. Reference error, must call super constructor before using this in derived class constructor. Meanwhile, we did not even use this. We have not even used this keyword. Now, what it is requiring us to do is that we must call super. We must call this keyword, then pass in whatever it is requiring us. We can pass in, let's try to pass in an object. Now we've passed in the object. Let's see if the stuff has the message has gone. The message has gone and is now working well. And you see again, it was this I ran first. It was the constructor that also ran first when that class extended it. So that is the beauty of the constructor. The constructor always fire first. So let's see what happens if we don't pass in the object. You see, the destructed parameter is undefined. So let's check it again. So we can do whatever we want to do, whatever we like with the parameter that we are passing. Okay, so that is that. And another thing is overriding of the class method, of the parent class method. Like for example, now this greeter class is now a parent of this CLO, and this CLO is now like a child of this greeter because it is inheriting from it. So that is it. So we cannot say, if we are going to declare the same get text inside it, let's also, there's another thing I need to mention. We can also call any method in this class. We can call it from this child method. We can say dot. Okay, let's ask it. As you can see, even the text editor gave us suggestion. Greeting from the child class. Now let's now log it. Dot message. Let's just do this just to differentiate it. Dot message. Now let's check it. As you can see, dot message greeting from the child class. So that is it. So we can also override. Let's use this setter and getter method as the example to override it. So we can also override immediately we declare this set and get method in this class. We've override the original class. Now let's try to do another thing inside this get message. Let's try to log it. Console.log, which is going to be this .msg. Now let's see what is going to happen. You see, undefined. It returned undefined. That is because it is trying to this particular message getter method didn't return anything. It just logged this message. Now let's see. Now you see it has logged the message. Let me add something just so that we will be able to distinguish it. MSG, so that we'll be able to distinguish it. So as you can see, this is it. It greeted it and it did not return anything because obviously it didn't return anything, and this is it here. So that is the override. To override a method, a parent method in the child class in JavaScript does not require anything. So that is it. Does not require anything, like just like in other language we are going to see at override. So JavaScript does not require any of such. Just declare it. Once you declare it in the child class, it gets overridden automatically. Well, so I think I've spoken enough on this class stuff, and if you have any question or any other stuff you would like me to explain more on classes, you can put it in the question in the description of this tutorial. The link to read more on classes on MDN is this. So thank you. Okay guys, so the last thing I'm going to be talking about in this tutorial is the for of, like the for of. I just think there is a need for me to talk about it in this tutorial, because that is one of the things that is used for looping through the objects, and you are going to need it in modern JavaScript and also JavaScript frameworks. When you are working with JavaScript frameworks and JavaScript library like Angular, Vue, React.js, and so on. So let's use an example of our fake data name John, age 90, last name is going to be Doe. Okay, so to look through the data easily, you can just use for const value of this object which is going to be, then we can now console.log the value. Now let's create an HTML file quickly, and just link the script index.js. Let's link the index.js, then expose this, then expose it back. So fake data is not iteratable. Okay, why is fake data not iteratable? Okay, so let me close all so that there won't be any confusion. Okay, so why is it that fake data is not iteratable? So let's try const fake out. So John Doe 78. Now let's use fake array instead. Fake array, let's check it. As you can see, it was looped through. So why is it saying that for value of fake data is not iteratable? Now let's check another thing which the text editor is going to suggest for us for of iterator of object. Okay, so it is if you want to loop to an object, so it is very useful for looping to an object. So the reason why the object was not looped to is because it is not iteratable. Iteratable in this context means things like arrays, is like arrays, sets, because set also looks like array, and also node list, like the um the, the type of the type of data set that document dot query selector or returns. That's what node list means. So you can just it allows looping through of data easy. So instead of using, like for example, in JavaScript, you can loop through arrays using map or dot for each. So this is another better method of looping through array like array like um objects. So it is very useful, and I hope this is very is going to be very useful for you when you come across, like when you are dealing with large data and when you are building complex application. So it's going to be useful for you when you are working with um um JavaScript frameworks and libraries. Okay, we have come to the end of the tutorial. So in this tutorial, I talked about various things you need to know before you before you start learning about um JavaScript framework, before you choose and start learning any JavaScript framework or library, especially React.js. So, and well, yes, this is the end of the tutorial. And if you have any question, just put it in the description of this tutorial, and I will make sure I reply to most of them. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It motivates me to do more tutorials like this. Please subscribe, click on the subscribe button. Please subscribe, click on the subscribe button. Please subscribe, you don't click on the subscribe button. Okay, so thank you guys, thank you for watching my video, thank you for watching this video. If there's anything I need to improve on in my video, please let me know. Yeah, just put it in the description of this tutorial. Okay guys, we've come to the end of the tutorial. Thank you, bye. See you in the next tutorial.